Greetings. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to grade a student's assignment. We have already created our assignment and made 2 submissions with Enter Student Preview. To grade the assignment, we're going to the Course Management Control Panel, Grade Center, to click on the Smart View for assignments. When we look at the assignment's grade column and click on the drop-down button next to the Needs Grading icon, you can see there are 2 attempts, and I can click on either. For the sake of this demonstration, we have 2 different attempts because the assignment was set up to receive unlimited submissions. When I click on an attempt, at the very top you see the student's name and you see which attempt. This is one of 2, one being the first attempt. To grade the last attempt, you have 2 ways to start. You can either click on this arrow to advance to the next attempt, or you can look to the right-hand side panel where it says Attempt 1. Expand this box and you can go directly to Attempt 2. Attempt 1 is where the student typed their submission into the text box of the assignment, and Attempt 2 is where they attach the exact same text as a Word file. I want to show you the difference grading the 2. Attempt 1, as I said, is just a text attempt. You can grade on the side, use a rubric, provide feedback, but you don't have the option to use inline grading. Whereas Attempt 2 takes you to the new box view, an application that's integrated with e-learning that lets you grade inline. You can annotate on the assignment, if you need more space, then you can select the Maximize Restore View command, or select Hide Grading Panel. Now you can add a comment. Once you've made all your comments, you can save. Select Restore View, or show the grading panel to continue. You have the options to download the assignment and to print. Next, we move on to grading. On the right-hand side panel, you see the assignment details on the top, which includes the class statistics, which is an average and a median, pulled from the total submissions made in the class. Below, this is where you can assign a grade. This assignment was set up with a grading rubric. Although you can just enter a grade, we should use it because the rubric automatically tallies points. There are 2 ways to grade with a rubric. You can either do it inline, which means on the same screen, or you can open a rubric in its own window. If you click on View Rubric in Window, then the rubric opens in a separate window, and you can select points possible on the rubric. Notice that you have space to provide feedback on every selection that you make. Once you make your changes, you can save. The other way to grade on the rubric is inline. Simply click on the rubric title, and this will bring up the rubric criteria and the point value or percentages. You can check the Show Descriptions to view details, check Show Feedback to add feedback on every selection you make. In the end, you have a raw total that the system generates from the points that you selected in the rubric. You can either choose this total or round it off. In this case, I'm going to round it off to 8.5, and this is where you can provide overall feedback to the student and click on Save Rubric. You will notice that the system tells me that it saved a rubric evaluation, but it has not submitted a grade. Before we submit the grade, let's review the additional feedback for students in the Grade Center. If you don't use a rubric, then this feedback box will let you make additional notes as to why a certain grade was given. You can enter text, include an attachment, do a spell check, and format your text. I'm going to write a message. Click on the assignment name in My Assignments to review the inline grading and the rubric at the same time. Below, you can also add grading notes that are going to be private for TAs and graders. Once you have made all your changes, you can click Submit, and the grade appears in the Grade Center. You'll notice that the grade is still editable, which means that you can still click and change the grade, but any changes you make at this point will be recorded in the grade history. If I click on the drop-down, I can see which attempt was graded. If I go into View Grade Details, then I can see the history of attempts and the grade, as well as the rubric and the feedback posted to the learner. If I want to ignore this attempt, then I can click Ignore, which gives the student another chance. I'm going to go ahead and keep the grade and select Return to Grade Center. The other thing to know about assignments is that you're able to download all submissions to grade them offline. To do so, you can go to the contextual menu that's next to the column header and download all files for this assignment. You can also view column statistics. This will tell you the overall performance of your students on this assignment. Finally, let's look at what the student sees. I will go back to the student preview, and now I'm viewing this course as a student. Go to My Grades, and here's where I see my grade. This comment bubble indicates that the instructor has posted some feedback. If I click on this, I can see the feedback. If I click on the View Rubric, I can see my scores on the rubric. To follow directions, I need to click on the assignment name to view my inline grading and the rubric at the same time. And with that, we come to the end of grading assignments. For more information about rubrics, please watch other tutorials, schedule training, and email us with elearning@utdallas.edu.